Hello, everybody, and you're live to Ballers Barding. We're just waiting for the rest of the actors to join in. Thank you for joining us this lovely sunny evening. I'm sure a lot of you already know that we've been meeting up since lockdown. I think this is our 17th play reading. We've gone through many plays, from King John to Troilus and Cressida to Midsummer Night's Dream to The Tempest. And we really loved Richard II so much. It is an abridged version, so don't worry, we won't be here all night. It's an abridged version, and its language and its text is so poetic and so beautiful, and the characters are absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure you will enjoy it as much as we have, and we will this evening. This is our first live stream, so please be kind to us if you write any comments in YouTube, but we won't hold back anymore. We'll just go for it. Thank you, everybody. Let's make a start.
Old John of Gaunt, hast thou brought hither Henry Hereford, thy bold son, against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
I have, my liege.
Hast thou sounded him on some known ground of treachery in him?
As near as I could sift him on that argument, on some apparent danger seen in him aimed at your highness, no inveterate malice.
Then call him to our presence. Ourselves will hear the accuser and the accused freely speak.
Many years of happy days befall my gracious sovereign, my most loving liege.
Each day still better, others happiness, until the heavens envying earth's good hap add an immortal title to your crown.
We thank you both. Cousin of Hereford, what dost thou object against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
Thomas Mowbray, thou art a traitor and a miscreant, too good to be so and too bad to live. Since the more fair and crystal is the sky, the uglier seem the clouds that in it fly. Once more, the more to aggravate the note, with a foul traitor's name stuff I thy throat, and wish, so please my sovereign, ere I move, what my tongue speaks, my right-drawn sword may prove.
'Tis not the trial of a woman's war. The fair reverence of your highness curbs me from giving reins and spurs to my free speech, which else would post until it had returned. These terms of treason doubled down his throat. I do defy him, and I spit at him, call him a slanderous coward and a villain. Meantime, let this defend my loyalty. By all my hopes, most falsely doth he lie.
Hail, trembling coward, there I throw my gage.
I take it up. I'll answer thee in any fair degree, and when I mount, alive may I not light, if I be traitor or unjustly fight.
What does our cousin lay to Mowbray's charge?
Look what I speak. My life shall prove it true, that Mowbray hath received 8,000 nobles in name of lendings for your highness's soldiers, the which he hath detained for lewd employments, like a false traitor and injurious villain. Besides, I say, and will in battle prove, that all the treasons for these 18 years complotted and contrived in this land fetch from false Mowbray their first head and spring. Further I say, and further will maintain, that he did plot the Duke of Gloucester's death, sluiced out his innocent soul through streams of blood.
Oh, let my sovereign turn away his face and bid his ears a little while be deaf. How God and good men hate so foul a liar.
Impartial are our eyes and ears. Nothing privilege him, nor partialize the unstooping firmness of my upright soul. He is our subject, Mowbray, so art thou. Free speech, and fearless, I to thee allow.
Then, Bolingbroke, thou liest. 3 parts of that receipt I had for Callis. Dispersed I duly to his highness's soldiers. The other part reserved I by consent, for that my sovereign liege was in my debt upon remainder of a dear account. Since last I went to France to fetch his queen, now swallow down that lie. For Gloucester's death I slew him not, but to my own disgrace, neglected my sworn duty in that case. I hurl down my gage upon the overweening traitor's foot to prove myself a loyal gentleman, in haste whereof most heartily I pray your highness to assign our trial day.
Wrath-kindled gentlemen, be ruled by me. Let's purge this collar without letting blood. This we prescribe, though no physician. Deep malice makes too deep incision. Forget, forgive, conclude and be agreed. Our doctors say this is no month to bleed. Good uncle, let this end where it begun. We'll calm the Duke of Norfolk, you your son.
To be a makepeace shall become my age. Throw down my son, Duke of Norfolk's gage.
And Norfolk throw down his.
I am disgraced, impeached and baffled here, pierced to the soul with slander's venomed spear, the which no balm can cure but his heart blood which breathed this poison.
Rage must be withstood. Give me his gauge. Lions make leopards tame.
Yea, but not change his spots. Take but my shame. Men are gilded loam or painted clay. Mine honour is my life, both grow in one. Take honour from me, and my life is done. Then, dear my liege, mine honour let me try, in that I live, and for that I will die.
Cousin, throw up your gauge. Do you begin?
Oh, God, defend my soul from such deep sin. Shall I seem crestfallen in my father's sight? My teeth shall tear the slavish motive of recanting fear, and spit it bleeding in his high disgrace, where shame doth harbour, even in Mowbray's face.
We were not born to sue, but to command, which since we cannot do to make you friends, be ready, as your lives shall answer it, at Coventry. Upon St. Lambert's Day, there shall your swords and lances arbitrate the swelling difference of your settled hate. Since we cannot atone you, we shall see justice design the victor's chivalry. Lord Marshal, command our officers at arms be ready to direct these home alarms.
Alas, the part I had in Woodstock's blood doth more solicit me than Yorick's claims, to stir against the butchers of his life. But we are quarrel to the will of heaven, who, when they see the hours ripe on earth, will rain hot vengeance on offender's head.
Edward's 7 sons, whereof thyself art one, were as 7 vials of his sacred blood, or 7 fair branches springing from one root. Some of those 7 are dried by nature's course, some of those branches by the destinies cut. But Thomas, my dear lord, my life, my Gloucester, one vial full of Edward's sacred blood, one flourishing branch of his most royal root, is cracked, and all the precious liquor spilt, is hacked down, and his summer leaves all faded by envy's hand and murder's bloody axe. Call it not patience, Gaunt, it is despair. To safeguard thine own life, the best way is to venge my Gloucester's death.
God's is the quarrel. Let heaven revenge, for I may never lift an angry arm against his minister.
Where then, alas, may I complain myself?
To God, the widow's champion and defence.
Why then, I will. Farewell, old Gaunt. Thou goest to Coventry, there to behold our cousin Hereford and Mowbray fight. Oh, sit my husband's wrongs on Hereford's spear, that it may enter butcher Mowbray's breast. Farewell, old Gaunt. Yet one word more. Grief boundeth where it falls, not with the empty hollowness, but wait. I take my leave before I have begun, for sorrow ends not when it seemeth done. Commend me to thy brother, Edmund York. Bid him, with all good speed, at Plashy visit me. Commend me, let him not come there, to seek out sorrow that dwells everywhere. Desolate, desolate will I hence and die. The last leave of thee takes my weeping eye.
My Lord O'Merle, is Harry Hereford armed?
Yea, at all points, and longs to enter in.
The Duke of Norfolk, spritefully and bold, stays but the summons of the appellant's trumpet.
Why then, the champions are prepared.
Lord Marshal, in God's name and the King's, say who thou art, And while thou comest thus knightly clad in arms, against what man thou comest, and what thy quarrel? Speak truly on thy knighthood and thy oath, and so defend thee heaven and thy valour.
My name is Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, who hither come engaged by my oath, which God defend a knight should violate, both to defend my loyalty and truth to God, my king, and my succeeding issue, against the Duke of Hereford that appeals me, and, by the grace of God, and this mine arm, to prove him in defending of myself, a traitor to my God, my king, and me, and as I truly fight, defend me heaven.
What is thy name, and wherefore comest thou hither before King Richard in his royal lists? Against whom comest thou, and what's thy quarrel? Speak like a true knight, so defend thee heaven.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby am I, who ready here do stand in arms to prove, by God's grace and my body's valour, in lists on Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, that he is a traitor, foul and dangerous to God of heaven, King Richard, and to me, and as I truly fight, defend me in heaven.
On pain of death, no person be so bold or daring hardy as to touch the lists, except the marshal, and such officers appointed to direct these fair designs.
Lord Marshal, let me kiss my sovereign's hand, and bow my knee before his majesty.
The appellant in all duty greets your highness, and craves to kiss your hand and take his leave.
We will descend and fold him in our arms. Farewell, my blood, which if today thou shed, lament we may, but not revenge thee dead.
Now let no noble eye profane a tear. For me, if I be gorged with Mowbray's spear, with thy blessing steal my lance's point, that it may enter Mowbray's waxen coat, and furbish anew the name of John a Gaunt, even in the lusty haviour of his son.
God in thy good cause make thee prosperous, be swift like lightning in the execution, and let thy blows fall amazing thunder on thy adverse pernicious enemy. Rouse up thy youthful blood, be valiant and live.
Mine innocency and St. George to thrive.
However God or fortune cast my lot, there lives or dies true to King Richard's throne, loyal, just and upright gentleman, most mighty liege and my companion peers, take from my mouth the wish of happy years, as gentle and as joycened as to jest go I to fight, truth have a quiet breast.
Farewell, my lord. Securely I espy virtue with valour couched in thine eye. Order the trial, Marshal, and begin.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster and Derby stands here for God, his sovereign and himself, on pain to be found false and recreant, to prove the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray, a traitor to his God, his king and him, and dares him to set forward to the fight.
Here standeth Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, on pain to be found false and recreant, both to defend himself and to approve Henry of Hereford, Lancaster and Derby, to God his sovereign and to him disloyal. Courageously and with a free desire attending, but the signal to begin.
Sound trumpets, and set forward combatants. Stay, the king has thrown his warder down.
Let them lay by their helmets and their spears. Draw near. Our kingdom's earth should not be soiled with that dear blood which it hath fostered. And for our eyes do hate the dire aspect of civil wounds ploughed up with neighbour's sword, with rival-hating envy. Therefore we banish you our territories. You, cousin Hereford, upon pain of life till twice 5 summers have enriched our fields, shall not re-greet our fair dominions, but tread the stranger paths of banishment.
Your will be done. This must my comfort be. Sun that warms you here shall shine on me, and those his golden beams to you here lent shall point on me and gild my banishment.
Norfolk, for thee remains a heavier doom, which I with some unwillingness pronounce. The sly, slow hours shall not determinate the dateless limit of thy dear exile. The hopeless word of never to return breathe I against thee upon pain of life.
A heavy sentence, my most sovereign liege. The language I have learned these 40 years, my native English now I must forego, and now my tongue's use is to me no more. Within my mouth you have engalled my tongue. I am too old to fawn upon a nurse, too far in years to be a pupil now. What is thy sentence then but speechless death, which robs my tongue from breathing native breath? I turn me from my country's light to dwell in solemn shades of endless night.
Return again, and take an oath with thee. Lay on our royal sword your banished hands. Swear to keep the oath that we administer. You never shall, so help you truth and God, embrace each other's love in banishment, nor never look upon each other's face, nor never write, regreet, nor reconcile this lowering tempest of your homebred hate, nor never by advised purpose meet to plot, contrive, or complot any ill against us, our state, our subjects, or our land.
I swear.
And I, to keep all this.
Norfolk, confess thy treasons ere thou fly the realm. Since thou hast far to go, bear not along the clogging burthen of a guilty soul.
No, Bolingbroke. If ever I were a traitor, my name be blotted from the book of life, and I from heaven banished as from hence. Farewell, my liege. Now no way can I stray, save back to England, all the world's my way.
Uncle, even in the glasses of thine eyes I see thy grieved heart. Thy sad aspect hath from the number of his banished years plucked 4 away. 6 frozen winters spent, return with welcome home from banishment.
I thank my liege, but little vantage shall I reap thereby. My oil-dramped lamp and time-bewasted light shall be extinct with age and endless night. My inch of taper will be burnt and done, and blindfold death not let me see my son.
Uncle, thou hast many years to live.
But not a minute, king, that thou canst give. The word is current with him for my death, but dead the kingdom cannot buy my breath.
Thy son is banished upon good advice. Why at our justice seemst thou then to lour?
Things sweet to taste prove indigestion sour. A partial slander sought I to avoid, and in thy sentence my own life destroyed. Alas, I looked when some of you should say I was too strict to make mine own way, but you gave leave to my unwilling tongue against my will to do myself this wrong.
Cousin, farewell, and uncle bid him so. 6 years we banish him, and he shall go.
Thy grief is but thy absence for a time.
Joy absent, grief is present for that time.
What is 6 winters? They are quickly gone.
To men in joy, but grief makes 1 hour 10.
Call it a travel that thou takest for pleasure.
I wander from the jewels that I love.
Teach thy necessity to reason thus. There is no virtue like necessity. Think not the king did banish thee, but thou the king. Look, what thy soul holds dear, imagine it to lie that way thou goest, not whence thou comest. Suppose the singing birds musicians, the grass whereon thou treadst, the presents strewed, the fair flowers fair ladies, and thy steps no more than a delightful measure or a dance. For gnawing sorrow hath less power to bite the man that mocks it and sets it light.
Oh, who can hold a fire in his hand by thinking on the frosty Caucasus, or cloy the hungry edge of appetite by bare imagination of a feast?
Come, come, my son, I'll bring thee on thy way. Had I thy youth and cause, I would not stay.
Then, England's ground, farewell. Sweet soil, adieu. My mother and my nurse that bears me yet. Where'er I wander, boast of this I can, though banished, yet a true-born Englishman.
I brought Hereford to the next highway, and there I left him.
What store of parting tears were shed?
Faith, none
What said our cousin when you parted with him?
me. Farewell. Marry, would the word farewell have lengthened hours and added years to his short banishment, he should have had a volume of farewells. But since it would not, he had none of
Our
me.
cousin's cousin. But 'tis doubt when time shall call him home from banishment, whether our kinsmen come to see his friends. Ourself and Bushy, Bagot here and Green, observed his courtship to the common people, how he did seem to dive into their hearts with humble and familiar courtesy. What reverence he did throw away on slaves, wooing poor craftsmen with the craft of smiles and patient underbearing of his fortune, as 'twere to banish their affects with him. As were our England in reversion his, and he our subjects' next degree in hope.
Well, he is gone, and with him go these thoughts. Now for the rebels which stand out in Ireland, expedient manage must be made, my liege, ere further leisure yield them further means, for their advantage and your highness's loss.
We will ourself in person to this war, and for our coffers with too great a court and liberal largesse are grown somewhat light. We are enforced to farm our royal realm, the revenue whereof shall furnish us for our affairs in hand. If that come short, our substitutes at home shall have blank charters, whereto, when they shall know what men are rich, they shall subscribe them for large sums of gold, and send them after to supply our wants. For we will make for Ireland presently. Bushy, what news?
Old John of Gaunt is grievous sick, my lords. He lies at Ely House.
Now put it, God, in the physician's mind to help him to his grave immediately. The lining of his coffers shall make coats to deck our soldiers for these Irish wars. Come, gentlemen, let's go visit him. Pray God we may make haste, and come too late.
Amen.
Amen.
Will the king come, that I may breathe my last and wholesome counsel to his unstead youth?
Vex not yourself, nor strive not with your breath, for all in vain comes counsel to his ear.
Oh, but they say the tongues of dying men enforce attention like deep harmony. For words are scarce, they are seldom spent in vain. For they breathe truth that breathe their words in pain. Though Richard's my life's counsel would not hear, my death's sad tale may yet undeaf his ear.
No, it is stopped with other flattering sounds, as praises of whose taste the wise are fond, lascivious meters, to whose venom sound the open ear of youth doth always listen. Direct not him whose way himself will choose. 'Tis breath thou lackest, and that breath wilt thou lose.
Methinks I am a prophet new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes that spurs too fast betimes. With eager feeding food doth choke the feeder. Light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming mean, soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it in the office of a wall or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happy lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous by their birth, renowned for their deeds as far from home for Christian service and true chivalry, as is a sepulchre in stubborn jewelry, a master's ransom, blessed Mary's son, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out. I die pronouncing it, like to a tenement or a pelting farm. England, bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England, that was wont to conquer others, hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Ah, would the scandal vanish with my life? How happy then were my ensuing death.
How fares our noble Uncle Lancaster?
Howest with aged Gaunt.
Oh, how that name befits my composition. Old Gaunt, indeed, and gaunt in being old. Within me grief hath kept a tedious fast, and who abstained from meat that is not gaunt? For sleeping England long time have I watched. Watching breeds leanness. Leanness is all gaunt. Gaunt am I for the grave, gaunt as a grave, whose hollow womb inherits naught but bones.
Can sick men play so nicely with their names?
No, misery makes sport to mock itself. Since thou dost seek to kill my name in me, I mock my name, great king, to flatter thee.
Should dying men flatter with those that live?
No, no, men flatter those that die.
Thou, now a dying, sayest thou flatterest me.
Oh no, thou diest, though I the sicker be.
I am in health. I breathe, and I see thee ill.
No, he that made me knows I see thee ill. Ill in myself to see, and in thee seeing ill. Thy deathbed is no lesser than thy land, wherein thou liest in reputation sick. Oh, had thou grandsire with a prophet's eye seen how his son's son should destroy his sons, from forth thy reach he would have laid thy shame, deposing thee before thou wert possessed. But not possessed now, but to pose thyself. Why, cousin, wert thou regent of the world? It were a shame to let this land by lease landlord of England art thou now, not king. Thy state of law is bond slave to the law, and thou—
A lunatic, lean-witted fool! Now, wert thou not brother to great Edward's son, this tongue that rounds so roundly in thy head should run thy head from thy unreverent shoulders.
Thou spare me not, my brother Edward's son. For that I was his father Edward's son, my brother Gloucester, plain, well-meaning soul, whom fair befall in heaven mongst happy souls. Be a precedent and witness good that thou respectest not spilling Edward's blood. Live in thy shame, but die not shame with thee. These words hereafter thy tormentors be. Convey me to my bed, then to my grave. Love they to live that love and honor have.
I do beseech your majesty, impute his words to wayward sickliness and age in him. He loves you, on my life, and holds you dear as Harry, Duke of Hereford, were he here.
Right. You say true. As Hereford's love, so his, as theirs, so mine, and all be as it is.
My liege, old Gaunt, his tongue is now a stringless instrument. Words, life, and all old Lancaster hath spent.
The ripest fruit first falls, and so doth he. His time is spent, our pilgrimage must be. So much for that. Now for our Irish wars. Towards our assistant we do seize to us the plate, corn, revenues, and movables whereof our uncle Gaunt did stand possessed.
How long shall I be patient? Oh, how long shall tender duty make me suffer wrong? Not Gloucester's death, nor Hereford's banishment, nor Gaunt's rebukes, nor England's private wrongs. I am the last of noble Edward's sons, of whom thy father, Prince of Wales, was first. In war was never lion raged more fierce, in peace was never gentle lamb more mild, than was that young and princely gentleman. His face thou hast, for even so looked he, His hands were guilty of no kindred blood, but bloody with the enemies of his kin. Oh, Richard, York is too far gone with grief, or else he should ne'er compare between.
My uncle, what's the matter?
Oh, my liege, seek you to seize and gripe into your hands the royalties and rights of banished Hereford? Is not Gaunt dead, and doth not Hereford live? Was not Gaunt just, and is not Harry true? Did not the one deserve to have an heir? Is not his heir a well-deserving son? Now, afore God, God forbid I say true, if you do wrongfully seize Hereford's rights, you pluck 1,000 dangers on your head. You lose 1,000 well-disposed hearts and prick my tender patience to those thoughts which honour and allegiance cannot think.
Think what you will, we seize into our hands his plate, his goods, his money, and his lands.
I'll not be by the while. My liege, farewell. What will ensue hereof there's none can tell, but by bad courses may be understood that their events can never fall out good.
Go, Bushy, to the Earl of Wiltshire straight, bid him repair to us to Ely House to see this business. Tomorrow next we will for Ireland, and 'tis time, I trow, we will create, in absence of ourself, our uncle York, Lord Governor of England, for he is just and always loved us well. Come on, our queen, tomorrow must we part. Be merry, for our time of stay is short.
My heart is great, but it must break with silence, ere it be disburdened with a liberal tongue.
Nay, speak thy mind, and let him ne'er speak more that speaks thy words again to do thee harm.
Hence that thou would speak to the Duke of Hereford. If it be so, out with it boldly, man. Quick is mine ear to hear of good towards him.
No good at all that I can do for him, unless you call it good to pity him, bereft and gelded of his patrimony.
The king is not himself, but basely led by flatterers, and what they will inform, merely in haste, gainst any of us all, that will the king severely prosecute gainst us, our lives, our children, and our heirs.
The commons hath he pilled with grievous taxes, and quite lost their hearts. The nobles hath he fined for ancient quarrels, and quite lost their hearts.
The king's grown bankrupt.
He hath not money for these Irish wars, robbing of the banished duke.
His noble kinsman, most degenerate king. But lords, we hear this fearful tempest sing, yet see no shelter to avoid the storm. I spy life peering, but I dare not say how near the tidings of our comfort is.
Nay, let us share thy thoughts as thou dost ours.
Be confident to speak, Northumberland.
I have received intelligence that Hereford, Bolingbroke, Cobham, Duke of Exeter, Archbishop late of Canterbury, Erpingham, Sir John Ramsden, Norbury, Sir Robert Waterton, and Francis Quoint, all these well furnished by the Duke of Breton, with 8 tall ships, 3,000 men of war, are making hither, and shortly mean to touch our northern shore. Away with me in post to Ravensburg. But if you faint, as fearing to do so, stay and be secret. I myself will go.
To horse, urge doubts to them that fear.
Hold out my horse, and I will first be there.
Madam, your majesty is too much sad. You promised to entertain a cheerful disposition.
To please the king I did. To please myself I cannot do it. Yet I know no cause, save bidding farewell to so sweet a guest as my sweet Richard. Yet again, methinks some unborn sorrow ripe in fortune's womb is coming towards me, and my inward soul with nothing trembles at something it grieves more than with parting from my lord the king.
Gracious queen, more than your lord's departure, weep not. More's not seen. Or if it be, 'tis with false sorrow's eye, for which things true weeps things imaginary.
It may be so, but yet inward soul persuades me it is otherwise.
God save your majesty, and well met, gentlemen. I hope the king is not yet shipped for Ireland.
Wherefore dost thou hope he is not shipped?
The banished Bolingbroke repeals himself, and with uplifted arms is safe arrived at Ravenspur.
God in heaven forbid.
Ah, madam, 'tis too true, and that is worse. The Lord Northumberland, his son, young Henry Percy, the lords of Ross, Beaumont, and Willoughby, with all their powerful friends, are fled to him.
Why have you not proclaimed Northumberland and all the rest revolted faction traitors?
We have, whereupon the Earl of Worcester hath broke his staff, resigned his stewardship, and all the household servants fled with him to Bolingbroke.
So, Green, thou art the midwife to my woe, and Bolingbroke my sorrow's dismal heir. Now hath my soul brought forth her prodigy, and I, a gasping new delivered mother, have woe to woe, sorrow to sorrow joined.
Despair not, madam.
Who shall hinder me? I will despair.
Here comes the Duke of York.
Your uncle, for God's sake, speak comfortable words.
Should I do so, I should belie my thoughts. Your husband, he is gone to save far off, whilst others come to make him lose at home. Here am I left to underprop his land.
My lord, your son was gone before I came.
He was? Why so? Go all which way it will. The nobles they are fled, the commons they are cold, and will, I fear, revolt on Hereford's side. Go to my sister Gloucester. Bid her send me presently £1,000.
My lord, I forgot to tell your lordship. Today as I came by, I called there. An hour before I came, the Duchess died.
God for his mercy. What a tide of woes, and there no post dispatched for Ireland? How shall we do for money for these wars? Come, sister, cousin, I would say. Pray, go, fellow, get thee home. Provide some carts and bring away the armour that is there. Gentlemen, will you go muster men? If I know how or which way to order these affairs, both are my kinsmen. The one is my sovereign, the other my kinsman. Well, somewhat we must do. Come, cousin. Gentlemen, go, muster up your men and meet me presently at Berkeley. I should to Plashy, but time will not permit. All is uneven and everything is left at 6 and 7.
The wind sits fair for news to go to Ireland, but none returns. For us to levy power proportionable to the enemy is all unpossible.
Besides, our nearness to the king in love is near the hate of those love not the king.
Their love lies in their purse. Whoso empties them by so much fills their hearts with deadly hate.
I will for refuge straight to Bristol Castle. The Earl of Wiltshire is already there.
Thither I will go with you. Will you go along with us?
No, I will to Ireland, to his majesty. Farewell. If heart's presage be not vain, we three here art that ne'er shall meet again.
Farewell at once, for all and ever.
Well, we may meet again.
I fear me, never.
How far is it, my lord, to Berkeley now? Oh, but who comes here?
It is my son, young Harry Percy. Harry, how fares my brother Worcester?
I had thought my lord to have learned his health of you.
Why, is he not with the Queen?
No, my good lord. He hath forsook the court, broken his staff of office, and dispersed the household of the king, because your lordship was proclaimed traitor.
Have you forgot the Duke of Hereford, boy?
My gracious lord, I tender you my service.
I thank thee, gentle Percy, and be sure I count myself your good friend, My hand thus seals it.
Where stands Berkeley?
There stands the castle, by yond tuft of trees, manned with 300 men, as I have heard, and in it are the lords of York, Berkeley, and Seymour, none else of name and noble estimate.
Here come the lords of Ross and Willoughby.
Welcome, my lords. I wot your love pursues a banished traitor. All my treasury is yet but unfelt thanks, which more enriched shall be your love and labour's recompense.
Your presence makes us rich, most noble lord.
Evermore thanks. But who comes here?
It is my lord of Berkeley and York.
My noble uncle.
Show me thy humble heart, not thy knee, whose duty is deceivable and false.
My gracious uncle.
Grace me no grace, nor uncle me no uncle. I am no traitor's uncle, and that word, grace, in an ungracious mouth is but profane. Why have those banished and forbidden legs dared once to touch a dust of England's ground? But then more, why? Why have they dared to march so many miles upon their peaceful bosom? Why, foolish boy? The king is left behind, and in my loyal bosom lies his power. Were I but now the lord of such hot youth, oh, then how quickly should this arm of mine— Thou art a banished man, and here art come, before the expiration of thy time, in braving arms against thy sovereign.
As I was banished Hereford, but as I come from Lancaster. Look on my wrongs with an indifferent eye. You are my father, for methinks in you I see old Gaunt alive. Oh then, my father, will you permit that I shall stand condemned, a wandering vagabond, my rights and royalties plucked from my arms perforce and given away to upstart unthrifts? Wherefore was I born? If that my cousin king be king of England, it must be granted that I am Duke of Lancaster. I am denied to sue my livery here. What would you have me do? I am a subject, and I challenge law. Attorneys are denied me, and therefore, personally, I lay my claim to my inheritance of free descent.
The noble Duke hath been too much abused.
It stands upon your grace upon to do him right.
Base men by his endowments are made great.
My lords of England, let me tell you this. I have had feeling of my cousin's wrongs, and laboured all I could to do him right. But in this kind to come, in braving arms, are rebels all.
The noble Duke hath sworn his coming is but for his own, and for the right of that we all have strongly sworn to give him aid.
Well, I see the issue of these arms. I cannot mend it. I must needs confess, because my power is weak and all ill left. But if I could, by him that gave me life, I would attach you all and make you stoop unto the sovereign mercy of the king. But since I cannot, be it known to you, I do remain neutral. So fare you well, unless you please to enter in the castle and there repose you for this night.
An offer, uncle, that we will accept. But we must win your grace to go with us to Bristol Castle, which they say is held by Bushy Bagot and their accomplices, the caterpillars of the Commonwealth, which I have sworn to weed and pluck away.
It may be I will go with you, but yet I'll pause, for I am loath to break our country's laws. Nor friends nor foes, to me welcome you are. Things past redress, and now with me past care.
My lord of Salisbury, we have stayed 10 days and hardly kept our countrymen together, and yet we hear no tidings from the king. Therefore we will disperse ourselves. Farewell.
Stay yet another day, thou trusty Welshman. The king reposeth all his confidence in thee.
'Tis thought the king is dead. We'll not stay. The bay trees in our country are all withered. The pale-faced moon looks bloody on the earth. These signs forerun the death or fall of kings. Farewell. Our countrymen are gone and fled. As well assured Richard, their king is dead.
Ah, Richard, with the eyes of heavy mind, I see thy glory like a shooting star fall to the base earth from the firmament. Thy sun sets weeping in the lowly west, witnessing storms to come, woe and unrest. Thy friends are fled to wait upon thy foes, and crossly to thy good all fortune goes.
Bring forth these men, bushy and green. I will not vex your souls, since presently your souls must part your bodies. You have misled a prince, a royal king. You have in manner with your sinful hours made a divorce betwixt his queen and him, stained the beauty of a fair queen's cheeks with tears drawn from her eyes by your foul wrongs. Myself, by fortune of my birth, near to the king in blood and near in love, till you did make him misinterpret me, eating the bitter bread of banishment, whilst you have fed upon my signories, disparked my parks and felled my forest woods, from mine own windows torn my household coat. This and much more twice all this, condemns you to the death.
More welcome is the stroke of death to me than Bolingbroke to England. Lords, farewell.
My comfort is that heaven will take our souls and plague injustice with the pains of hells. Uncle, you say the Queen is at your house. Tell her I send to her my kind commends. Take special care my greetings be delivered.
A gentleman of mine I have dispatched with letters of your love to her at large.
Thanks, uncle. Come, lords, away, to fight with Glendower and his complices, a while to work, and after, holiday.
Barclothley Castle call they this at hand. I weep for joy to stand upon my kingdom once again. Dear earth, I do salute you with my hand. Though rebels wound thee with their horses' hooves, throw death upon thy sovereign's enemies.
Fear not, my lord. That power that made you king hath power to keep you king in spite of all.
Bolingbroke, through our security, grows strong and great in substance and in power.
Not all the water in the rough, rude sea can wash the balm off from an anointed king. The breath of worldly men cannot depose the deputy elected by the Lord. For every man that Bolingbroke hath pressed to lift shrewd steel against our golden crown, God for his Richard hath in heavenly pay a glorious angel. Then if angels fight, weak men must fall, for heaven still guards the right. Welcome, my lord.
Lord, discomfort guides my tongue and bids me speak of nothing but despair. One day too late, I fear me, noble lord, hath clouded all thy happy days on earth. O call back yesterday, bid time return, and thou shalt have 12,000 fighting men. Today, unhappy day, too late, o'erthrows thy joys, friends, fortune, and thy state. For all the Welshmen, hearing thou wert dead, are gone to Bolingbroke, dispersed and fled.
Comfort, my liege. Why looks your grace so pale? Comfort, my liege. Remember who you are.
I had forgot myself. Am I not king? Awake, thou coward majesty. Ye favourites of a king, are we not high? High be our thoughts. I know my uncle York hath power enough to serve our turn. But who comes here?
My lord.
Say, is my kingdom lost? Strives Bolingbroke to be as great as we? Cry woe, destruction, ruin and decay. The worst is death, and death will have his day.
Glad am I that your highness is so armed to bear the tidings of calamity. Whitebeards have armed their thin and hairless scalps against thy majesty. Boys with women's voices strive to speak big and clap their female joints in stiff unwieldy arms against thy crown. The very beadsmen learn to bend their bows of double-fated yew against thy state. Yea, distaff women manage rusty bills against thy seat. Both young and old rebel, and all goes worse than I have heard tell.
Too well. Too well thou tell'st a tale so ill. Where's the Earl of Wiltshire? Where's Bagot? What's become of Bushy? Where's Green?
Peace have they made with him indeed, my lord.
Oh, villains, vipers, damned without redemption.
Their peace is made with heads and not with hands. Those whom you curse have felt the worst of death's destroying wound and lie full low, graved in the hollow ground.
Is Bushy, Green, and the Earl of Wiltshire dead?
Aye, all of them at Bristol lost their heads.
Where is the Duke my father with his power?
No matter where. Of comfort no man speak. Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Let's choose executors and talk of wills, and yet not so. What can we bequeath, save our deposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our lives, and all our Bolingbroks. And nothing can we call our own but death. And that small model of the barren earth which serves as paste and cover to our bones. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings, how some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, all murdered. But within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court. And there the antic sits. Cover your heads. Mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty. For you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread like you, feel want, taste grief, need friends. Subjected thus, how can you say to me, I'm a king?
My lord, wise men ne'er sit and wail their woes, but presently prevent the ways to wail. Your follies fight against yourself, fear and be slain. No worse can come to fight. And fight and die is death destroying death, where fearing dying pays death servile breath.
Thou chidest me well. Proud Bolingbroke, I come to change blows with thee for our day of doom. Say, Scroop, where lies our uncle with his power? Speak sweetly, man, although thy looks be sour.
My tongue hath but a heavier tale to say. Your uncle York is joined with Bolingbroke, and all your northern castles yielded up, and all your southern gentlemen arms upon his party.
Thou hast said enough. Oh, that sweet way I was into despair. What say you now? What comfort have we now? By heaven, I'll hate him everlastingly. Go to Flint Castle, there I'll pine away, a king. Woe's slave shall kingly woe obey. That power I have discharge, and let them go to ear the land that hath some hope to grow, for I have none. Let no man speak again to alter this, for counsel is but vain.
My liege, one word.
He does me double wrong that wounds me with the flatteries of his tongue. Discharge my followers, let them hence away, from Richard's night to Bolingbroke's fair day.
So that by this intelligence we learn the Welshmen are dispersed and Salisbury is gone to meet the king, who lately landed with some few private friends upon this coast.
The news is very fair and good, my lord. Richard, not far from hence, hath hid his head.
Oh, but who comes here? Welcome, Harry. What, will not this castle yield?
The castle royally is manned, my lord, 'gainst thy entrance.
Royally? Why? It contains no king.
Yes, my good lord, it doth contain a king. King Richard lies within the limits of yon Lyman stone, and with him are the Lord Earlmole, Lord Salisbury, Sir Stephen Scroop, besides a clergyman of holy reverence, who I cannot learn.
Oh, belike it is the Bishop of Carlisle.
Noble lords, go, send the breath of parley into his ruined ears, and thus deliver. Henry Bolingbroke, on both his knees doth kiss King Richard's hand, and sends allegiance and true faith of heart to his most royal person. Hither come even at his feet to lay my arms and power, provided that my banishment repealed, and lands restored again be freely granted. If not, I'll use the advantage of my power and lay the summer's dust with showers of blood. Go, signify as much. Let's march without the noise of threatening drum. March on, and mark King Richard how he looks. See, King Richard doth himself appear.
Yet looks he like a king. Behold, his eye, as bright as is the eagle's, lightens forth controlling majesty. Alack, alack for woe that any harm should stain so fair a show.
We are amazed. And thus long have we stood to watch the fearful bending of thy knee, because we thought ourselves thy lawful king. And if we be, how dare thy joints forget to pay their awful duty to our presence? If we be not, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship. For well we know no hand of blood and bone can gripe the sacred handle of our sceptre. Tell Bolingbroke, for yonder methinks he stands, that every stride he makes upon my land is dangerous treason. He has come to open the purple testament of bleeding war, but ere the crown he looks for live in peace. 10,000 bloody crowns of mothers' sons shall ill become the flower of England's face, change the complexion of her maid pale peace to scarlet indignation, and bedew her pastures grass with faithful English blood.
The King of Heaven forbid our Lord the King should so with civil and uncivil arms be rushed upon. Thy thrice noble cousin, Harry Bolingbroke, doth humbly kiss thy hand. And by the honourable tomb he swears his coming hither hath no further scope than for his lineal royalties, and to beg enfranchisement immediate on his knees. This swears he, as he is a prince, is just, and as I am a gentleman, I credit him.
Northumberland, say thus the king returns. His noble cousin is right welcome hither. To look so poorly and speak so fair, shall we call back Northumberland and send defiance to the traitor and so die?
No, good my lord. Let's fight with gentle words till time lend friends, and friends their helpful swords.
God, God, that ere this tongue of mine that laid the sentence of a dread banishment on young proud man should take it off again with words of sooth. Oh, that I were as great as is my grief, or lesser than my name, or that I could forget what I have been, or not remember what I must be now. Swell'st thou, proud heart? I'll give thee scope to beat, since foes have scope to beat both thee and me.
Northumberland comes back from Bolingbroke.
What must the king do now? Must he submit? The king shall do it. Must he be deposed? The king shall be contented. Must he lose the name of king? God's name, let it go. I'll give my jewels for a set of beads, my sceptre for a palmer's walking staff, and my large kingdom for a little grave. A little grave, an obscure grave. Or I'll be buried in the king's highway. Oh, Merle, thou weep'st, my tender-hearted cousin. We'll make foul weather with despised tears. Most mighty prince, my lord Northumberland, what says King Bolingbroke? Will his majesty give Richard leave to live till Richard die? You make a leg, and Bolingbroke says aye.
My lord, In the base court he doth attend to speak with you. May it please you to come down.
Down. Down I come. In the base court. Base court where kings grow base. To come at traitors' calls and do them grace in the base court. Come down. Down, court. Down, king. For night owls shriek where mounting larks should sing.
Stand all apart and show fair duty to his majesty, my gracious lord.
Fair cousin, you debased your princely knee to make the base earth proud with kissing it. Up, cousin, up. Your heart is up, I know. Thus high at least, although your knee be low.
My gracious lord, I come but for mine own.
Your own is yours, and I'm yours and all. Well you deserve. They well deserve to have that know the strongest and surest way to get. Uncle, give me your hands. They dry your eyes. Tears show their love, but want their remedies. Cousin, I'm too young to be your father, though you are old enough to be my heir. What you will have, I'll give, and willing too. For do we must what force will have us do. So, on towards London, cousin, yea, is it so?
Yea, my good lord.
Then I must not say no.
What sport shall we devise here in this garden to drive away the heavy thought of care?
Madam, we'll play at bowls.
'Twill make me think the world is full of rubs and that my fortune rubs against the bias.
Madam, we'll tell tales.
Of sorrow or of joy?
Of either, madam.
Of neither, girl. For of joy being altogether wanting, it doth remember me the more of sorrow. Or, if of grief being altogether had, it adds more sorrow to my want of joy. For what I have, I need not to repeat, and what I want, it boots not to complain.
Madam, I'll sing.
'Tis well that thou hast cause, but thou shouldst please me better, wouldst thou weep. Oh, but stay, here come the gardeners. Let's step into the shadows of these trees, my wretchedness onto a row of pins. They'll talk of state, for everyone doth so. Against a change, woe is forerun with woe.
Oh, bind thou up yon dangling apricocks, which, like unruly children, make their sire stoop with oppression. Make their prodigal wait, give some supportance to the bending twigs. Go thou, and like an executioner, cut off the heads of two fast-growing sprays that look too lofty in our commonwealth. All must be even in our government.
Why should we, in the compass of a pale, keep law and form and due proportion when our sea-walled garden, the whole land, is full of weeds? The fruit trees all upturned, the hedges ruined.
Oh, thy peace! He that hath suffered this disordered spring hath now himself met with the fall of leaf. The weeds, which his broad spreading leaves did shelter, that seemed in eating him to hold him up, are plucked up, root and all, by Bolingbroke. I mean the early Wiltshire bushy green.
What, are they dead?
They are, and Bolingbroke hath seized the wasteful king. Oh, what pity is it that he hath not trimmed and dressed his land as we this garden. We at time of year do wound the bark, the skin of our fruit trees. Had he done so to great and growing men, they might have lived to bear, and he to taste their fruits of duty. Had he done so, himself had borne the crown, which waste of idle hours hath quite thrown down.
What, think you then the king shall be deposed?
Depressed he is already, and deposed 'tis doubt he will be. Letters came last night to a dear friend of the good Duke of York's that tell black tidings.
Oh, I am pressed to death through want of speaking. Coming forward, how dares thy harsh, rude tongue sound this unpleasing news? Why dost thou say King Richard is deposed? Darest thou, thou little better thing than earth, divine his downfall? Say, where, when, and how camest thou by this ill tiding? Speak, thou wretch!
Pardon me, madam. Little joy have I to breathe this news, yet what I say is true. King Richard, he is in the mighty hold of Bolingbroke. Post you to London, and you will find it so. I speak no more than everyone doth know.
Am I the last that knows it? Come, ladies, go to meet at London, London's king in woe. What, was I born to this? That my sad look should grace the triumph of great Bolingbroke? Gardener, for telling me these news of woe, pray God the plants thou graftest may never grow.
Oh, poor queen, so that thy state might be no worse, I would my skill were subject to thy curse. Here did she fall a tear, here in this place. I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for Ruth, here shortly shall be seen in the remembrance of a weeping queen.
Now, Bagot, freely speak thy mind. What thou dost know of noble Gloucester's death, who wrought it with the king, and who performed the bloody office of his timeless end.
And set before my face the Lord Ormerle.
Look upon that man.
My Lord Ormerle, I heard you say, is not my arm of length that reacheth from the restful English court as far as Calais to mine uncle's head? Amongst much other talk, that very time I heard you say that you had rather refuse the offer of 100,000 crowns than Bolingbroke's return to England, adding withal how blessed this land would be in this your cousin's death.
Princes and noble lords, what answer shall I make to this base man? There is my gage, the manual seal of death that marks thee out for hell. I say, thou liest, and will maintain what thou hast said is false in thy heart blood, though being all too base to stain the temper of my knightly sword.
By that fair sun which shows me where thou standest, I heard thee say, and vauntingly thou spakest it, that thou wert cause of noble Gloucester's death. If thou deniest it 20 times, thou liest, and I will turn thy false heart to thy heart, where it was forged with my rapier's point.
Fitzwater, thou art damned to hell for this!
Ormerle, thou liest. His honour is as true in this appeal as thou art all unjust, and thou art so, there throw my gage, to prove it on thee to the extremest point.
Who sets me else? By heaven, I'll throw it all. I have 1,000 spirits in one breast to answer 20,000 such as you.
My Lord Fitzwater, I do remember well the very time Ormerle and you did talk.
'Tis very true. You were in presence then, and you can witness with me this is true.
As false by heaven as heaven itself is true.
Oh, sorry, thou liest.
Dishonourable boy, that lie shall lie so heavy on my sword that it shall render vengeance and revenge.
If I dare drink or breathe or live, I say he lies and lies and lies. As I intend to thrive in this new world, Ormerle is guilty of my true appeal. Besides, I heard the banished Norfolk say that thou, Ormerle, did send 2 of thy men to execute the noble Duke at Calais.
Some honest Christian trust me with a gage, that Norfolk lies. Here do I throw down this, if he may be repealed, to try his honour.
These differences shall all rest under gage till Norfolk be repealed, though mine enemy restored again to all his lands and signories. When he's returned, against Ormerle we will enforce his trial.
That honourable day shall ne'er be seen. Many a time hath banished Norfolk fought for Jesu Christ in glorious Christian field. his pure soul, and to his captain, Christ, under whose colours he'd fought so long.
Why, Bishop, is Norfolk dead?
Aye, my lord.
Sweet peace conduct his sweet soul to the bosom. Lords appellants, your differences shall all rest under gauge till we assign you to your days of trial.
Great Duke of Lancaster, I come to thee from plume-plucked Richard, who with willing soul adopts the heir and his high sceptre yields to the possession of thy royal hand. Ascend his throne, descending now from him, and long live Henry, fourth of that name.
In God's name, I'll ascend the regal throne.
God forbid. Worst in this royal presence may I speak, yet best beseeming me to speak the truth. Would God that any in this noble presence were enough noble to be upright judge of noble Richard, then true noblesse would learn him forbearance from so foul a wrong. What subject can give sentence on his king? And who sits here that is not Richard's subject? And shall the future of God's majesty, his captain, steward, deputy elect, anointed, crowned, planted many years, be judged by subject and inferior breath, and he himself not present? My lord of Hereford here, whom you call king, is a foul traitor to proud Hereford's king. And if you crown him, let me prophesy, the blood of English shall manure the ground, and in this seat of peace tumultuous wars shall kin with kin and kind with kind confound. Disorder, horror, fear, and mutiny shall here inhabit. Oh, if you raise this house against this house, it will the woefulest division prove that ever fell upon this cursed earth. Prevent it, resist it, let it not be so, lest child's children cry against you woe.
Well have you argued, sir, and for your pains of capital treason we arrest you here.
Fetch hither Richard, that in common view he may surrender, so we shall proceed without suspicion.
Alack, why am I sent for to a king, before I have shook off the regal thoughts wherewith I reigned?
To do that office of thine own good will, which tired majesty did make thee offer, the resignation of thy state and crown to Henry Bolingbroke.
Give me the crown. Here, cousin. Seize the crown. Here, cousin. On this side, my hand, and on that side, yours. Now this golden crown, like a deep well, that owes two buckets filling one another, the emptier ever dancing in the air, the other down, unseen and full of water. That bucket down and full of tears am I, drinking my griefs, whilst you mount up on high.
I thought you had been willing to resign.
My crown I am, but still my griefs are mine. You may my glories and my state depose, but not my griefs, I'm still king of those.
Part of your cares you give me with this crown.
Your cares set up, do not pluck my cares down. My care is loss of care, by old care done. Your care is gain of care, by new care won. The cares I give, I have, though given away, they tend the crown. But still with me they stay.
Are you contented to resign the crown?
Aye. No, no. Aye. for I must nothing be. Therefore, no, for I resign to thee. Now mark me how I will undo myself. I give this heavy weight from off my head, and this unwieldy sceptre from my hand, the pride of kingly sway out from my heart. With mine own tears I wash away my balm. With my own hands I give away my crown. With mine own tongue deny my sacred state. With mine own breath release all duty's rights. God pardon all oaths that are broke to me. God keep all vows unbroke that swear to thee. Make me that nothing have, with nothing grieved. And thou with all pleased, that hast all achieved. Long mayest thou live in Richard's seat to sit, and soon lie Richard in an earthly pit. God save King Harry, unkinged Richard says, and send him many years of sunshine days. What more remains?
No more, but that you read these accusations and these grievous crimes, that by confessing them, the souls of men may deem that you are worthily deposed.
Must I do so?
My lord, dispatch, read all these articles.
Mine eyes are full of tears, I cannot see. And yet salt water blinds them not so much, but they can see a sort of traitors here. Nay, if I turn mine eyes upon myself, I find myself a traitor with the rest. For I have given here my soul's consent to undeck the pompous body of a king, made glory base and sovereignty a slave, proud majesty a subject, state a peasant.
My lord.
No lord of thine. I have no name, no title. No, not that name that was given me at the font, but 'tis usurped. I know not now what name to call myself. Oh, that I were a mockery king of snow standing before the sun of Bolingbroke to melt myself away in water drops. Good king, great king, and yet not greatly good, and if my word be sterling yet in England, let it command a mirror here straight, that it may show me what a face I have since it is bankrupt of majesty.
Go, some of you, and fetch a looking glass.
Read all this paper.
It no more, my lord Northumberland.
The Commons will not then be satisfied.
I'll be satisfied. I'll read enough when I do see the very book indeed, where all my sins are writ, and that's myself. Give me the glass, and therein will I read. No deeper wrinkles yet. Our sorrow struck so many blows upon this face of mine and made no deeper wounds. Oh, flattering glass, like my followers in prosperity thou dost beguile me. Was this face? The face that every day under his household roof did keep 10,000 men? Was this the face that was at last outfaced by Bolingbroke? The brittle glory shineth in this face, as brittle as the glory is the face. But there it is, cracked in 100 shivers. How soon my sorrow hath destroyed my face. I'll beg one boon and then be gone and trouble you no more. Shall I obtain it?
Name it, fair cousin.
Fair cousin? Oh, I'm greater than a king, for when I was a king, my flatterers were then but subjects. Being now a subject, I have a king here to my flatterer. Being so great, I have no need to beg.
Yet ask.
Give me leave to go.
Whither?
Whither you will, so I will from your sights.
Go. Some of you convey him to the tower.
Oh, good! Convey! Conveyors are you all that rise thus nimbly by a king's fall?
On Wednesday next, we solemnly set down our coronation. Lords, prepare yourselves.
A woeful pageant have we here beheld.
The woes to come.
Is there no plot to rid the realm of this pernicious blot?
I see your brows are full of discontent, your hearts of sorrow, and your eyes of tears. Come home with me to supper, and I'll lay a plot shall show us all a merry day.
way the king will come. This is the way to Julius Caesar's ill-erected tower, to whose flint bosom my condemned lord is doomed, a prisoner by proud Bolingbroke. But soft, but see, or rather do not see. My fair rose wither, yet look up, behold, that you in pity may dissolve to dew, and wash him fresh again with true love tears.
Join not with grief, fair woman, do not so, to make my end too sudden. Learn, good soul, to think our former state a happy dream. Hie thee to France, and cloister thee in some religious house. Our holy lives must win a new world's crown, which our profane hours here have stricken down.
What? Is my Richard both in shape and mind transformed and weakened? Hath Bolingbroke deposed thine intellect? Hath he been in thy heart? The lion dying trusteth forth his paw and wounds the earth. Art a lion and a king of beasts?
King of beasts, indeed, if aught but beasts, I had been still a happy king of men. Good sometime queen, prepare thee hence for France. Think I'm dead, and that even here thou takest, as from my deathbed, thy last living leave. In winter's tedious nights sit by the fire with good old folks, and let them tell thee tales of woeful ages long ago betid. Tell thou the lamentable tale of me, and send the hearers weeping to their beds, and in compassion weep the fire out. And some will mourn in ashes, some coal black, for the deposing of a rightful king.
My lord, the mind of Bolingbroke is changed. You must to Pomfret, not unto the tower. And madam, there's order ta'en for you. With all swift speed you must away to France.
Northumberland, thou ladder wherewithal the mounting Bolingbroke ascends my throne. And he shall think that thou, which knowst the way to plant unrightful kings, wilt know again, being ne'er so little urged another way to pluck him headlong from the usurped throne. The love of wicked men converts to fear, that fear to hate, and hate turns one or both to worthy danger and deserved death.
My guilt be on my head, and there an end. Take leave and part, for you must part forthwith.
Doubly divorced, bad men, you violate a twofold marriage twixt my crown and me, and then betwixt me and my married wife. She came adorned hither like sweet May, sent back like Halamus or shortst of day.
And must we be divided? Must we part?
Aye. Hand from hand, my love, and heart from heart.
Banish us both, and send the king with me.
That was some love, but little policy.
And whither he goes, thither let me go.
So two together weeping make one woe. Weep thou for me in France, for I thee here. Better far off than near, be near the near. Go, count thy way with sighs, I mine with groans.
So longest way shall have the longest moans.
One kiss shall stop our mouths and dumbly part. Thus give I mine, and thus take I thy heart. We make woe wanton with this fond delay. Once more adieu, the rest let sorrow say.
My lord, you told me you would tell the rest when weeping made you break off the story of our two cousins coming into London.
Great Bolingbroke mounted upon a hot and fiery steed, whilst all tongues cried, God save thee, Bolingbroke. You would have thought the very windows spake, Jesu, preserve thee, welcome Bolingbroke, whilst he, from the one side to the other turning, bareheaded, lower than his proud steed's neck, bespake them thus, I thank you, countrymen, and thus, still doing, thus he passed along.
Lack poor Richard, where rode he the whilst?
Men's eyes did scowl on gentle Richard. No man cried, God save him. No joyful tongue gave him his welcome home. But dust was thrown upon his sacred head, which with such gentle sorrow he shook off, his face still combating with tears and smiles. But heaven hath a hand in these events, to whose high will we bound our calm contents. To Bolingbroke we are sworn subjects now, whose state and honour eye for eye allow.
Here comes my son, Ormel.
A merle that was, but that is lost for being Richard's friend. And, madam, you must call him Rutland now. I am in Parliament pledged for his truth and lasting fealty to the new-made king.
Welcome, my son. Who are the violets now that strew the green lap of the new-come spring?
Madam, I know not, nor I greatly care not. God knows I had as life be none as one.
Well, bear you well in this new spring of time, lest you be cropped before you come to prime. What news from Oxford? Hold those justs and triumphs?
For aught I know, my lord, they do.
What seal is that? Yea, lookest thou pale? Let me see the writing.
My lord, 'tis nothing.
No matter then who see it. I will be satisfied. Let me see the writing.
I do beseech your grace to pardon me. It is a matter of small consequence, which for some reasons I would not have seen.
Which for some reasons, sir, I mean to see. Boy, let me see the writing.
I do beseech you, pardon me. I may not show it.
I will be satisfied. Let me see it, I say. Treason? Foul treason, villain, traitor, slave.
What is the matter, my lord?
Give me my boots, I say, saddle my horse. Now, by mine honour, by my life, by my troth, I will impeach the villain.
What is the matter?
Peace, foolish woman.
I will not peace. What is the matter, Ormel?
Good mother, be content. There's no more than my poor life must answer.
Thy life answer.
Answer.
Bring me my boots, I will unto the king.
Strike him, Ormel. Poor boy, thou art amazed. Hence, villain, never more come in my sight. Have we more sons? Wilt thou pluck my fair son from mine age, and rob me of a happy mother's name? Is he not like thee? Is he not thine own?
Thou fond, mad woman, wilt thou conceal this dark conspiracy? A dozen of them here have ta'en this sacrament and interchangeably set down their hands to kill the king at Oxford.
We'll keep him here.
Oh, away, fond woman. Were he 20 times my son, I would impeach him.
Sweet York, sweet husband, be not of that mind.
Make way, unruly woman.
After, Ormel, mount thee upon his horse, spur post, and get before him to the king, and beg thy pardon ere he do accuse thee. I'll not be long behind. Though I be old, I doubt not but to ride as fast as York, and never will I rise up from the ground till Bolingbroke have pardoned thee. Away! Be gone!
Can no man tell me of my unthrifty son? 'Tis full 3 months since I did see him last.
My lord, some 2 days since I saw the prince, and told him of those triumphs held at Oxford.
And what said the gallant?
His answer was, he would unto the stews, and from the commonest creature pluck a glove, and wear it as a favour, and with that he would unhorse the lustiest challenger.
As dissolute as desperate, yet through both I see some sparks of better hope, which elder years may happily bring forth. But who comes here?
Where is the king?
What means our cousin that he stares and looks so wildly?
God save your grace. I do beseech your majesty to have some conference with your grace alone.
Withdraw yourselves and leave us here alone. What is the matter with our cousin now?
Forever may my knees grow to the earth, my tongue cleave to my roof within my mouth, unless a pardon ere I rise or speak.
Intended or committed was this fault? If on the first, how heinous ere it be, to win thy afterlove, I pardon thee.
Then give me leave that I may turn the key. that no man enter till my tale be done.
Have thy desire.
My liege, beware. Look to thyself.
My liege, beware, look to thyself. Thou hast a traitor in thy presence here.
Villain, I'll make thee safe.
Stay thy revengeful hand, thou hast no cause to fear.
Open the door, secure, foolhardy king. Shall I for love speak treason to thy face? Open the door, or I will break it open. Pursue this writing here, and thou shalt know the treason that my haste forbids me show.
Remember, as thou readst thy promise past, I do repent me. Read not my name there, my heart is not confederate with my hand.
It was, villain, ere thy hand did set it down.
O heinous, strong and bold conspiracy! O loyal father of a treacherous son! Thou sheer, immaculate and silver fountain, from when this stream through muddy passages hath held his current and defiled himself! Thy overflow of good converts to bad, and thy abundant goodness shall excuse this deadly blot in thy digressing son.
What ho, my liege! For God's sake, let me in.
What shrill voice supplied makes this eager cry?
A woman, and thy aunt, great king, 'tis I. Speak with me, pity me, open the door. A beggar begs that never begged before.
Our scene is altered from a serious thing, and now changed to the beggar and the king. My dangerous cousin, let your mother in. I know she has come to pray for your foul sin.
O king, believe not this hard-hearted man. Hear me, gentle liege.
Rise up, good aunt.
Not yet. I thee beseech, forever will I walk upon my knees and never see day that the happy sees, till thou give joy, until thou bid me joy, by pardoning Rutland, my transgressing boy.
Unto my mother's prayers I bend my knee.
Against them both my true joints bended be. It mayest thou thrive if thou grant any grace.
Pleads he in earnest? Look upon his face. His eyes do drop no tears, his prayers are in jest. His words come from his mouth, ours from our breast. His prayers are full of false hypocrisy, ours of true zeal and deep integrity. Our prayers do outpray his. Then let them have that mercy which true prayer ought to have.
Good aunt, stand up.
Nay, do not say stand up. Say pardon first, and afterwards stand up. And if I were thy nurse, thy tongue to teach, pardon should be the first word of thy speech. I never longed to hear a word till now. Say pardon, king. Let pity teach thee how. The word is short, but not so short as sweet. No word like pardon for kings' mouths so meet.
Good aunt, stand up. I pardon him as God shall pardon me.
Oh, happy vantage of a kneeling knee. Yet I am sick for fear. Speak it again. Twice saying pardon doth not pardon twain, but makes one pardon strong.
With all my heart, I pardon him.
Oh, a god on earth thou art.
But for our trusty brother-in-law and the abbot, with all the rest of that consorted crew, destruction straight shall dog them at the heels. Good uncle, help to order several powers to Oxford, or where'er these traitors are, they shall not live within this world, I swear, but I will have them, if I once know where. Uncle, farewell, and cousin too, adieu. Your mother well hath prayed, and prove you true.
Come, my old son, I pray God make thee new.
Didst thou not mark the king what words he spake? Have I no friend will rid me of this living fear? Was not so.
These were his very words.
Have I no friend, quoth he. He spake it twice, and urged it twice together, did he not? He did, and speaking it, he wistly looked on me, and who should say, I would thou wert the man that would divorce this terror from my heart. Meaning the king at Pomfret. Come, let's go. I am the king's friend, and will rid his foe.
I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. And for because the world is populous, and here is not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet I'll hammer it out. My brain and soul beget a generation of still-breeding thoughts. And these same thoughts people this little world against the word. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders, and these vain, weak nails may tear a passage through the flinty ribs of this hard world, my ragged prison walls, and for they cannot die in their own pride. Thoughts tending to content, flatter themselves they're not the first of fortune's slaves, nor shall be the last. Like silly beggars who sitting in the stocks refuge their shame that many have, and others must sit there. And in this thought they find a kind of ease, bearing their own misfortunes on the back of such as have before endured the like. Thus play I, in one person, many people, and none contented. Sometimes am I a king. These treasons make me wish myself a beggar, and so I am. Then crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king, and then I'm kinged again, and by think that I'm unkinged by Bolingbroke. And straight am nothing. But what I be, nor I, nor any man, that but man, is with nothing shall be pleased, till he be eased with being nothing. Music do I hear? Keep time! How sour sweet music is when time is broken, no proportion kept. I wasted time. Now doth time waste me. For now hath time made me his numbering clock. My thoughts are minutes, and with sighs they jar their watches on unto mine eyes, the outward watch whereto my finger, like a dial's point, is pointing still, in cleansing them from tears. Now, sir, the sound that tells what hour it is are clamorous groans which strike upon my heart, which is the bell. So sighs and tears and groans show minutes, times and hours, but my time runs posting in on Bolingbroke's proud joy, while I stand fooling here. He's Jack of the clock. This music mads me. Let it sound no more, for though it hath holp madman to their wits, in me it will make wise men mad. Yet blessing on his heart that gives it me, for 'tis a sign of love, and love to Richard is a strange brooch in this all-hating world.
Hail, royal prince!
Thanks, noble peer. What art thou? And how comest thou hither where no man never comes but that sad dog that brings me food to make misfortune live?
Thou was a poor groom of thy stable, king, when thou wert king. Oh, how it yearned my heart when I beheld in London streets that coronation day, when Bolingbroke rode on roan Barbary, that horse that thou so often hast bestrid, that horse that I so carefully have dressed.
Rode he on Barbary? Tell me, gentle friend, how went he under him?
So proudly as if he disdained the ground.
So proud that Bolingbroke was on his back. That jade hath he bred from my royal hand. This hand hath made him proud with clapping him.
Oh, give place. Here is no longer stay.
If thou love me, 'tis time thou wert away.
What my tongue dares not, that my heart shall say.
My lord, will it please you to fall to?
Taste of it first, as thou art wont to do.
My lord, I dare not. Sir Piers of Exton, who lately came from the king, commands the contrary.
The devil take Henry of Lancaster and thee. Patience is stale, and I'm weary of it.
Ah! Help! Help! Help!
How now? What means death in this rude assault? Villain, thy own hand yields thy death's instrument. That hand shall burn in never-quenching fire that staggers thus my person. Exton, thy fierce hand hath with the king's blood stained the king's own land.
As full of valour as of royal blood, both have I spilled. Oh, whether deed good. But now the devil that told me I did well says this deed is chronicled in hell. This dead king to the living king I'll bear. Take hence the rest. Give them burial here.
Welcome, my lord. What is the news?
First, to thy sacred state wish I all happiness. The next news is, I have to London sent the heads of Oxford, Salisbury, Blunt, and Kent.
We thank thee, gentle Percy, for thy pains, and to thy worth will add right worthy gains.
The grand conspirator, Abbot of Westminster, with clog of conscience and sour melancholy, hath yielded up his body to the grave. But here is Carlisle living to abide thy kingly doom and sentence his pride.
Carlisle, this is your doom. Choose out some secret place, some reverend room, more than thou hast, and with it joy thy life, so as thou livest in peace, die free from strife. For though mine enemy thou hast ever been, high sparks of honour in thee have I seen.
Great king, within this coffin I present thy buried fear. Herein all breathless lies the mightiest of thy greatest enemies, Richard of Bordeaux, by me hither brought.
Exton, I thank thee not, for thou hast wrought a deed of slander with thy fatal hand upon my head and all this famous land.
From your own mouth, my lord, did I this deed.
They love not poison that do poison need, nor do I thee. Though I did wish him dead, I hate the murderer, love him murdered. The guilt of conscience take thou for thy labour, that neither my good word nor princely favour with Cain go wander through shades of night, and never show thy head by day nor light. Lords, I protest. My soul is full of woe, that blood should sprinkle me to make me grow. Come, mourn with me for that I do lament, and put on sun and black incontinent. I'll make a voyage to the Holy Land, to wash this blood from off my guilty hand. March sadly after, grace my mornings here, in weeping after this untimely bier.
Yay!
Take care.
Yay!
Yay!
Well done, ladies. Well done, gents. Woo! Woo! What's the next ones? Way!
Yay! Yay!
Well done, everyone. Woo! Yay! Well done, Kate. Well done, Beck. Woo! Where's Kate gone? She's disappeared. Woo! Hey! Well done. Woo! Arnold's just staying.
Oh, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
Well done, Jess.
Yeah.
Hey, well done,
on.
Jess. Arnold, you're just trying to take all the glory now, aren't you? Well done, King Richard. And Adele. Hey, King Richard. Woo!
I can't get on the screen.
Well done, everyone.
Well done, you, Sarah. Thank you so much, Sarah, for setting
Well
this
done,
up.
Sarah.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Hey, we haven't got Northumberland or the servants. Well done, guys. Where's Adele gone? Where's the lady of many disguises?
Where's my food?
Did we reach the million in audience?
Can you give yourselves one last bow?
Yeah.
Well done, everyone.